Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Katelyn, and we are finally continuing the 100 Dragons Challenge. I know, I am sorry guys, I've been a little bit behind on my production schedule, and just life has been crazy, so thank you for your patience. I really appreciate you guys waiting and holding out for me to get these episodes out again. So today's prompt comes from Vladimir, who asked to do a symbiotic dragon like Venom or Carnage from Marvel, and I love Venom. He is probably one of my favorite comic book villains, or I guess you could call him an anti-hero. I don't really know how you describe him. And I wanted to initially do a Venom one, but I'm like, I really like Venom, but this is a good excuse to dive in and try Carnage, because I haven't really drawn Carnage before, and I think it would be really cool to have a specifically red, intense dragon. So I decided, let's try Carnage. So I first started off with some rough sketches. I had some pictures of Carnage off to the side, and I was just trying to figure out how I wanted to translate this from this goopy looking symbiotic creature into a dragon. And I love the idea of, Marvel Universe and DC, they both have a thing for doing kooky and crazy spin-offs or like weird alternate universes. And I personally like the idea now of Spider-Man being in medieval times. He doesn't really have a lot of buildings to swing off of those, so that might be a problem. But Spider-Man in medieval times, and the symbiote attaches onto a dragon. I totally would read that. It would be probably garbage, but I would love it. So that's kind of the idea I was going with this, is if the symbiote was taking over and possessing a dragon. So I wanted to make sure, obviously, there was a lot of dragon characteristics left over, but I wanted to make sure it was obvious that it was Carnage or some version of Carnage. And what's really nice about Carnage is the character design already has some really intense, characteristics, like features that you can really tell that is Carnage, along with the mouth was really easy to work with. Just based off of the original character, it's really easy to translate that to other mouth shapes. And then also with the eyes and the different tangly bits off of Carnage, it's really easy to translate that to other body shapes and types. So it was really nice to put that into a dragon. So now with the rough sketches out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and dive into doing the finalized pose sketch. And this one was like really fun to do. I was like, let's really push those angles with the mouth and really have it stretched open. I actually, now that I'm looking at it again, I kind of wish I pushed this even more. So I might one day revisit this in my sketchbook and try like another really intense version of this Carnage dragon, because he was a blast. And now with the rough sketch done and out of the way, it was time to jump in and do the line art, which was really fun. And it also was a good time for me to plan out where to put the different colors in my head. Like, I know that Carnage has some different black bits on its face and body, like kind of, I guess you could call them, they look kind of like veins, or like some, I guess veins. I think veins is the best description. But I had to think about and plan where those would go along where the big chunks of black would go. And I did kind of plan that a little bit in my sketch, but I'm like, all right, I got it finalized, I got it in my head. I won't do a line art for those black parts, but I know where I'm gonna put them. So whenever I do the line art, I love seeing this come together and slowly become the finalized look. So now with the line art done and the sketch all cleaned up and erased away, it's now time to experiment with some colors. So I noticed I don't really have a ton of red Copics. I got quite a few strong ones. So after trying out a couple, I landed on a for sure base red for the whole Carnage, along with a secondary red, which I really liked to add maybe some extra effects, use for its chest, and use in different parts of the drawing in general. All right, so now probably the most difficult part of the coloring is upon us, which is doing the black around the mouth and the eyes. So my black Copic is way too thick of a tip to get in there for those little teeth, and then my small fine liners are way too small to the point that it would just take me forever to color it, so I busted out the brush pen, and this still ended up being probably the most time-consuming part of this whole process. I tried to take my time to make sure that when I was brushing it on, it was okay and not going outside the lines when possible, but I had a little bit of bleedage just because it's hard to keep a brush pen in the lines sometimes, especially that evening. I could not do it at all. But I mean, it still turned out pretty good, and I do like where the teeth and the black ended up. It just was a very long process to get all of that laid in, especially really small with those teeth. It took me forever. So then at least with the teeth out of the way, the eyes were a lot easier to just go around the existing outside line just to add a little bit more depth and black around it. And then just adding some extra little bits to the inside of the eye, and later on I'll go in and add some more black around the body. But now we finally are jumping into doing the red after the long process of laying in that black layer. So now with the main body red done, and now I'm adding in the chest red, we're really seeing this guy come together. And I'm going to be adding a couple more details here in a second, because I felt just with the plain basic reds here, it was a little bit flat. And then I realized, like I said earlier, the Carnage design has these black veins. So I busted out the black brush pen again to go through and add these veins to like the chest to also amplify where the different plates started and ended. And then I also added it to the body, and it really brought the whole thing together. And then for a final touch coming up here in just a second, I add a little bit more of a black outline to the different parts of the body and outside of the character in general. And then I go in with my white gel pen to add some nice slobber lines and some highlights, and it just turned out really, really cool. And with that, we're about to wrap up this guy, and I think he turned out really cool. This was really fun to do overall, and just a blast to draw. So if you guys would like to give a stab at this and try it out, I'd really recommend it. I'm just gonna go ahead and say you guys can do Venom or Carnage. Both are kind of these symbiotic creatures. So either one would be totally acceptable for this submission, but make sure to submit it on Twitter or Instagram under the hashtag KM100dragons, and I cannot wait to see your creations. But let's go over the last one from about a month ago, which was the Dandelion Dragon. You guys did amazing. Like, holy crap, you guys thought of some way better designs than mine, and I love them. So Nether Lily, I really love that you used the leaves to your advantage within the body, and you have the puffball at the end of the tail and the flowers around the face. It just turned out really good. And Husky Teeth, I really love how fluffy your Dandelion Dragon looks. And the way that you colored it works so well because you can tell the puff is see-through and you can see the dragon behind it. And absolutely, absolutely amazing. I love both of your guys's. And then all of your submissions overall were super awesome and creative. A lot of you had fun with different coloring patterns and different ways to use like the yellows, the whites, the greens, the leaves, the puffs, the flowers, everything was used. So great work, guys. Amazing job again. So again, if you guys want to enter, make sure to put it under the KM100dragons on Twitter or Instagram, and I'm really excited to see your guys' entries. So make sure to subscribe here on YouTube to stay posted on the next 100 dragons. We're going to start them up every Friday again, and I can't wait to show you guys the next dragon. Thank you all so much for stopping by, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.